Right. Welcome to another session of VWR, Veteran Warrior Rebirth Pillars. This particular one is going to be about business. And I got quite a few slides to get through. So what I'm going to do is readjust this camera so it looks like I'm being a professional and looking at you guys. There we go. All right, that's a little bit better. So the business pillar takes a lot of different things. And it all depends on the context of how you want to look at your transition as a human being in the civilian world, job to job, or if you are looking for transitioning from, let's say, active duty into a civilian job, or building your own business, or to work with a partner to build a business. So it all depends on the aspect. And also, another way of looking at it is if you're looking specifically as a transitioning service member, you need to build your resume. So that's part of your business as well. So resume rewriting and rebuilding so that you can go from mill speak to civ speak is kind of important. So that I kind of dropped that in there as well. But we'll get into that into the slides, and as I progress, you'll understand that. So without further ado, I'm going to run into the slides. That way you can see it and get a better understanding of what I'm trying to get across. So, all right, here you go. Your next mission. It's a strategic guide. Now, it doesn't have to be a military transition. It could be you moving to a new job. So take it with a grain of salt, okay? You have to think about your now and your next or your future, or what your why is and what your plan is going to do and how you're going to build that so that you can follow the purpose that you've been built for. As a service member or in the first responding type of world, we're built for that's who we are. We're not going to change. It's till the day we die. We're always going to want to help or do something for others. So take that into consideration as we go forward, right? I'm waiting for the slide. Come on. There we go. All right. So, like I said in the past, an optimal transition is 24 months out. That's my own personal opinion. I've seen people do it in 6 months and they struggle. 18 months is nice. 24 is like the real sweet spot because it gives you the opportunity, first and foremost, drop your papers and then get them approved. Sometimes they don't always get approved in the amount of time that you want them done. So the 24 months window, let's just say it takes them 6 months to approve your stuff before you get out, right? So in that meantime, that 6 months that you're waiting for them, you need to be focusing on networking, getting all your medical trash together, start building your resume, create your different profiles for all the different social media stuff that you want to use. Key one is LinkedIn, obviously, figuring out where all the job fairs and all that other garbage are. And that literally, that 24 months, it's going to take you every minute of that 24 months. Now, unless you've been planning for it since you were been in for, the first 12 years, and started going from there. But what this particular transition is what are you going to do next? What do you like to do? Okay. And part of that is figuring out, like it says here, what's the recon and planning that you have to get done? You have to do that. If you don't know what you're going to do, you got to figure it out and recon different aspects. That's where the DoD Skillbridge comes in, working with people outside in the different networks. Maybe you don't like doing finance in the military and you want to get into, you know, operations or mechanics. Those are the Skillbridge type of things that you can look into. And so you can plan for that. And once you start planning for that, as you get into that 12 month window, that's when you can take those Skillbridge opportunities. You don't have to take it the last 6 months. If you take it the last 6 months, and then you got to add the separation into it. So it'd be more like the 9 months, because that last 3 months of separation, it's all the admin paperwork, making sure that you got all your appointments done, blah, 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 all that stuff. So the execution and the logistics piece of it is just as important as the recon and the planning. And again, 24 months is a sweet spot. It's not always going to be that easy. I actually have somebody that I met not too long ago. They actually said they started at 48 months. And I was like, wow, how prepared are you? And they're like, oh, well, we're good. We have 3 businesses now and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, holy crapola. And we got to sit down and talk for a while. So 48 months was really good for them, but they were preparing for it. So just take that into perspective. Waiting for this next slide to come down. Come on. You can do it. There you go. Okay. So this is the 4B framework. Okay. This was my original framework when I wrote my book, and that's what this is based off of. Now, I'm in the process of doing a second edition of my book to add the 2 additional pillars, which are trauma awareness and financial stability. But this works out really well because the business is still a key critical component of this part of the book. Okay. So the 4Bs, obviously, your body being balance in business. Obviously, you need to work on your body even after you get out, i.e., your VA appointments, staying healthy, eating right, supplements, exercise, etc. That is your key foundation for everything else. Because if you don't take care of your body, all the other stuff is not going to work. They all work hand in hand in hand. Your being, obviously, your mental health, making sure that you get your VA appointments taken care of. If you need to go back and sit down with somebody, perfectly okay. There's a program with the VA now called the Whole Life Program. It's amazing. I'm actually part of it right now. You get all kinds of goodies that they bring out, and I just got literally a litany of other resources to add, and I will put that in the school area under the bonus resources. But there's so much out there that you can lean into, and you have to worry about your being through your meditation. If you journal, like I've said in the past, I'm not much of a journaler, and I've even said to myself that I need to start journaling because there's things that pop up and it's just like, oh crap, I should have wrote that down, and then I would be able to let it go and release it. So that's a very important piece of it. And then within that is the mindfulness, the spirituality, your connection with your faith, etc. That then supports your balance, which is your communication with your family and relationships with everybody inside and outside of your immediate family. So it's very important. And then as you move into business, well, if you don't have the other 3 pillars, you're not going to be able to do the business part of it. I mean, think about that. If you have a chair, it's got 4 legs. Yeah, you can take one away and then you have a tripod. Great. But guess what? It's not as stable as 4 legs. Just a thought. So every decision that you make in your transition needs to be weighed against these 4. And then when you add in the other 2 later on with the trauma awareness and the financial stability, and the financial stability works hand in hand with the business, honestly. So it's very important that these 4 are the strongest portion of everything that you're doing for your planning for your transition. Again, veteran is my focus, but it's a real life problem because everybody technically has to work. And if you don't have a plan to keep yourself healthy, stable, communicate, you're never going to be successful. I don't say that lightheartedly either, because it takes a lot to be successful. If you could do something the rest of your life and just roll out of bed, love what you do, what passion, what is it that drives you to do that one thing? Drop it in the chat box. If you could literally roll out of bed and do something for the rest of your life. I can be honest, where I am at my happiest and I thrive the most is when I am doing hard physical labor for other people. I don't know why. It makes me the happiest that I am. I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I'm focused, and I'm super in tune, not only with myself, with everyone around me, everything that's happening. And it makes my brain work harder to stay focused because there's a goal. And I think I mentioned this in the past. I grew up, I've been a mechanic most of my life, turning wrenches. So the instant gratification is part of my DNA. Again, like being in the service business, customer service, doesn't matter what it is. If you're built for service, you're there to do it, and you make the most of it and enjoy it. Some people, oh, I hate my job, it's customer service. Well, it's a little different. You know what I mean? Think about that. If you're doing service for someone and they're grateful and appreciative, it makes you want to go back and do more, or you see successes for them or for you, and not somebody coming up and bitching in your face and screaming and yelling because, I don't know, you didn't get coffee when you got, your cup got empty or whatever, or you didn't get the extra coffee in your hotel room, so you're screaming and yelling at the customer service person who doesn't even handle that stuff. So just a perspective. So dump in the chat if you could roll out, what would it be? Would you be a vet tech? Would you be a psychologist, a pilot, an astronaut, a seafarer? All right. So if you remember back in the beginning, we were talking about the different phases, okay? You know, the recon, the planning, the execution, logistics. So this is the phase one. It's the recon and the planning, the now. What do you do now with the 12 to 24 months out from getting out? Or let's just say you're 3 to 6 months out from moving from the job that you're not happy with, and you've been scouting and looking and trying to find another position with another company, okay? Let's just say it's real estate or banking or something like that, and you just want to get out of there. You're tired of it. Well, you got to get out of your comfort zone, because let's say you've been in ABC position for 5-10 years, right? And you're tired of it. You need to move on. What do? You got to step out of the comfort zone. As much as you hate that job, that's your comfort zone, because you know you can roll out of bed, you know, do your 3 S's, jump in the car and roll to work. Well, you got to get out of that comfort zone to reach out and look at all of the other different things that you potentially could do, or get more skills, learn more capabilities, so that you can bring more value to whatever you're looking for, or even the same place that you're at and you want to move up. All right. You don't want to stay in the same spot. You know, bank teller is a bank teller. Well, you eventually want to become one of the managers of the building, maybe. I mean, it all depends. This is what you have to do when you step outside that comfort zone. You build your network. Keyword, network. We've been talking about that for months now. You have your own group of friends and people that you're connected with, but then you go outside of that and go to the different meetups and social events and all the other different things. And you build the list of contacts of whether they're civilian professionals, military professionals, contract professionals, learning how to build business professionals. There's a lot of different groups out there. A couple local ones here would be the 4 Block and Action Zone, and they can help you with the transition. There's a ton of different businesses that can connect you with Skillbridge. If you're interested in something like that, reach out to me directly. I'll be more than happy to put you in contact with at least 5 or 6 that I'm aware of. And they're all connected with somebody else. Or do your own out of comfort zone research and go to dodskillbridge.gov, and that will help you out. And if that's the wrong website, just go in there and do a Google search. And every conversation that you make or have, or business card that you gather, you take all those business cards and you take the person's name and you read the name out loud and where you met them, and leave it on the card. I do that with every card that I get. And now that I have this digital card, when I download it, and I download it after every time I go to an event, where did I meet this person? Where did I meet this person? And it'll be a ABCD, you know, networking event, or this real estate expo, or this real estate adventure area, or VetNet night at the Brick House, or VetNet night at Another Broken Egg. So it all depends. And you can start accumulating all of that data. Well, what you're doing is building that network. That network, then you can connect with them on LinkedIn. That's how you're going to get the next job. Because again, it goes back to the relationships, right? We've talked about relationships. Your network is the relationship. The more that you nurture that relationship with the person that you met, just reach out. Hey, thank you so much. I'm glad that you took the time to talk with me, and I would love to catch up with you at another time or the next event. Are you familiar with any that are happening in the very near future where we could get another minute to talk to each other, or face to face, or whatever? That's totally up to you. Figure it out. That's totally up to you. And then take into consideration, while you're doing all of this networking stuff, what are the things that you're running into for yourself that you're struggling with? Are you having a hard time communicating? Do you not know how to tell your story? Or, hey, I don't know, you come up with was it 11 Alpha? I think that's an Army supply guy, right? Um, Civilian people don't know what the hell that is. Oh, what do you do? In the Army, I'm an 11 Alpha. However, if I were to tell you what I do, I actually deal with all the supply and logistics and inventories for A, B, C, and D. You know what I mean? So just to take that into perspective, and you can ask them, hey, what should I remember about you, so the next time we see each other, I have that little nugget that'll spark our conversation. So little things like that, and it's all about relationships, it's communications. The key thing is when you're, I'll give you a cheat. You go out to a networking event, you're hanging out there, right? While you're out there, you meet 40 people, no exaggeration. How do you remember everybody? Drop your trick of what you do in the chat and tell me, how do you remember somebody's name when you meet them for the first time? Because the cheat is when they introduce themselves, they say their name, you say their name back as a question mark. Not like, oh, hey, I'm Bob. Oh, hi, question mark. No, 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 not that. Hi, I'm Bob. How are you? Hi, I'm Mark. Hey, Mark, pleasure to meet you. So, Mark, how many times have you come to one of these things? Oh, by the way, Mark, I'm actually getting ready to get out. Thanks, Mark. It was a great time talking to you. 4 times. Repeat their name over and over and over. I am blessed. I never forget a face. Now, mind you, I kind of stick out in a crowd. A lot of people remember who I am just because of the beard. A lot of times they don't remember my name, but it's not a hard name, but it's, okay, Bob, I'm cool with it. But they never forget my face. But I will never forget a face. I'm terrible with names. And I'll be honest with you, some days I just shoot myself in the foot because I call people by the wrong name. And they're like, no, no, close, but that's not it. So 4 times. Repeat their name 4 times in the conversation. You'll never forget who they are. Here's your second objective. Define what you want to do in the future. Again, this goes back to, what do you love? What's driving you? What's a passion? Yeah, I don't want to be an 11 Alpha anymore. I want to be a dental hygienist. That's your business, not mine. I don't want to stick my hands in somebody else's face. Although I do love my dental techs. Anyway, figure out what you want to do. Enjoy it. But the thing is, you got to remember, you want to be able to wake up every morning and enjoy going to work. Hangover and all. That's totally up to you. And the key thing is, make sure that you bring in the rest of the family. Because if you choose to do something, for instance, a relocation package, maybe they're not into it. Maybe they don't want to go. I mean, we live in a pretty good area. I mean, there's a whole lot to do. And if you decide to take a job in freaking, I don't know, Idaho, to each his own, not my business. But if you decide to do that, you got to make sure everybody's all on the same page. And I know somebody that did that. They actually moved to Idaho because they were in real estate and they were getting out just as the Idaho market was going up. So they're actually pretty well off at this point. But that's not my point. People move all over the place. Some move back home, some move to the mountains, some just want to get off the grid. Just make sure that you communicate that. And that is all part of the balance pillar, which is the relationship with your family, communication. Remember, all 4 pillars, you got to have all 4 of them working together, because if they're not, it's not going to be steady. There's going to be a problem. And if that makes sense, hey, just give me a thumbs up. All right. So we've mentioned Skillbridge. It's totally up to you if you want to find that out. You got to look into all the different companies. And when I say there's thousands of them, there are thousands of them, to include most of the contractors that work for all of the different services. Most of them have Skillbridge programs. It's up to your command to approve it. I don't know what relationships you may or may not have with your command. I actually had a buddy of mine who was supposed to come and work with me, and his senior leadership would not sign off on his documentation. So that being said, you got to make sure that you have a good relationship with your command. If you don't, dig into it, and then figure out what you plan on doing with the skill bridge. And it goes across a gamut of skills. It could be real estate, it could be banking, it can be medical, mechanics, social media, marketing, all that stuff. I mean, it's all out there. And again, 4Block and Action Zone here locally, they can actually help you do that to build your own individual business or connect you into a business. Or if you want to get with one of your coworkers who's getting out at the same time and build a business, those are options. And a huge part of Skillbridge is a lot of real estate. I'm not kidding, a lot of construction, and a lot of banking specifically. So again, that's up to you. I didn't take advantage of that opportunity first and foremost because at the time I was unaware of it. And believe it or not, it was only 9 years ago that I was unaware of it. I promote it to everybody that I try and meet because it was one of those things that was under the radar for the longest time. And what I would say is that it was very disappointing because I think I would have done a couple things a little differently. But guess what? I'm here teaching people and passing along the information so that you don't miss out on the things that I did. That's why I have my book specifically written that says that it's not in my drawer. Things I wish I knew before I retire. The fast and easy way to success, or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, you get the point. Things I wish I knew before I retire. It's on Amazon. It's in the links in my bios and all that good stuff. So check it out. And I'll be putting out a second edition later this year, including the 2 new chapters. Now, other opportunities post 9/11, you have education, or you can do internships. Remember, internships, unlike Skillbridge, internships are with a company that's non-paid. Now, they also do internships after you get out. So take that into consideration. If you do an internship while you're still in, which they do, I think 6 and 12-month opportunities, the host company may not provide any funding, or you'll still be on active duty and you'll get your paycheck. Skillbridge, you do it while you're still on active duty, you get your paycheck, the company does not pay for it. Some internships will pay for it after you get off active duty. So take that into consideration. You could go back to school full time, up to you. You could go and pick up your master's or go for a different certifications and skill sets. A lot of IT jobs are like that right now. So it all depends what you want to do in your next chapter. Totally up to you. Figure it out. The key takeaway right here, the goal is the same. Convert active duty time into a launch pad for your civilian career. So all of your active duty schools that you've done, all of your training that you've done, believe it or not, boot camp counts for a significant amount of credits, college credits. I was foolish enough at the time that I went and figured out through Excelsior College back in 2008 that, now mind you, I'd already had 16 years in with education and rank and all that stuff. So they take all that stuff into consideration. And they only gave me 52 credits. I was like, why only 52? And I had a year of college as well. And they're like, well, certain things in your MOS doesn't count. And I'm like, okay. Well, I was foolish enough to not follow through. That would have been an associate's had I gone through and completed for a bachelor's. So I wasted the next 18 years not getting a degree. I still don't have a degree, but I don't need a piece of paper that says I'm smart. And that sounds kind of egoish or a lot of pride. I do take a lot of pride, but I am very successful from what I've done over my lifetime. That I'm happy with that. Did I go and get additional certifications? Yes, that's how I got into my strategic planning stuff. That's how I had the opportunity to bounce from a couple different jobs making insane money as a contractor. So take all that stuff into consideration. If you want to sit down and plan a brunch with Bob, we can do that. We can take a 3-hour sit down and do a blueprint. Totally up to you. The links are in the bio. We'll figure that out another time. But just to give you perspective, phase 2. Now I'm running out of time. So the execution and logistics. What's next? What are you going to do for the final couple months that you're in, right? So we've gone through that multiple times. But here you go. What's the most critical asset that you have to take care of? That's the most important thing. Your body, number one. Then your brain, right? Your brain is part of your body, but it's also part of your being. You make sure that everything's documented, specifically your body aches, pains, chronic sinusitis, bronchitis, back pain, shoulder pain, all that stuff, and engage with the VA and make sure that you get all of that stuff taken care of, and make sure that the VA is in receipt of all those documents before you sign your DD-214. It's very important because they have to do the evaluation of you so that you can get the right percentage. Okay. Your out processing, very important. Make sure you do all that shit right, because if you don't and you sign off on your DD-214, it's a nightmare trying to get it updated. Okay. Priority 2, build that network. Build that network, build that network, build that network. Get your face out there, get your name out there, and work on your resume for the transition, because it's going to be important. The digital platforms are going to be key critical ones for everyone, specifically LinkedIn for transitioning service members. But as regular people, you already know LinkedIn is going to be your bread and butter. If you want to get out there and be a little crazy and do your own, IG or TikTok and all the garbage, totally up to you. That's your decision to make. Communication with your balance. That way you can build rapport. Rapport is extraordinarily important. Establish your financial baseline. That's a whole nother topic that we could talk about later on. But just remember, your lifestyle on active duty will be different than your lifestyle when you're only getting 60% of your pay. Hit that again. Your lifestyle will change when you are only making 60% of your pay. Mind you, you may or may not have a job afterward. You may or may not have a business that you're running as well. But that baseline of 60%, that's your paycheck. All the other stuff is add-ons to that. So you just got to take that into consideration. And then if you do get VA compensation on top of that, that's a win. You got to make sure you do that. And we talked about that in the gap math a couple weeks ago. Go back and watch some of the videos on YouTube. You'll be able to see it there. Here you go. If you want to launch your own venture, business, passive income isn't enough, i.e. your pension and your VA disability, boom, start a business. And I will tell you, disabled vets get priorities. Oh, excuse me. Minorities get priorities. Females get priorities. If you're a disabled female minority, you will get the premier help to build a business. I do pretty good. I'm a disabled vet. I'm not a minority, obviously, and I'm definitely not female just because of the bass in my throat. Voice, not throat. Anyway, you get my point. I don't have to beat that horse to death. There you go. Your body being balanced business. Okay. You have to focus on all of the real information. Sometimes it's going to be raw. Sometimes it's going to be clean. Sometimes it's going to hurt. Sometimes it's going to make you smile. But you got to stay focused to continue to drive, to build the results that you want for you, to make purpose and profit sustainable into your retirement. Hopefully that was enough for you. I'm going to guess that I hit the nail on the head on that one. Yeah, last slide. Look at that. Woo! So just take into consideration, okay, these 4 are the most important part of your transition from active duty or from a regular job into a different position or another company, okay? These 4. If you don't take care of your body, eating right, sleeping, rest, recovery, all that good stuff, your being, which is your interconnection with your spirituality, your faith, mindfulness towards others, balance, communication, relationship skills, excuse me, with the priority of your family, because everybody's a bank account. You have to make deposits so that you can make a withdrawal. They have to be part of the circle of everything that's going on, especially with transitioning service members, so that you understand where they are with your retirement, because they've made just as many, if not more, sacrifices than you. And even regular civilian jobs, everybody makes sacrifices. Not everybody realizes it, but everybody makes a sacrifice. And then you take those three pillars and you add them into the business, however you want to look at business. Your business could be your transition out of the military to a civilian job, building a business, or partnering in a business. You still need to build that resume, which is still business. Okay. That being said, without any further ado, if anybody's got any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll be more than happy to respond. If not, I won't hold you up, and we'll get back to our regular scheduled program. Sitting back, relaxing, and chilling. Cool. I got nothing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You have a fantastic evening.